This morning, of course, we are remembering one of the giants of broadcasting, Sir Michael Parkinson, who's passed away at the age of 88. He's being celebrated for his incredible interviews, both in the UK and here in Australia, but also as a genuine and kind man. Now, for TV presenter Trisha Goddard, that kindness and friendship helped her during a pretty tough time here in Australia. And Trisha joins us live now. And a very good morning to you, Trisha.
Good morning to you, Angela. What a sad day, sad day.
It is. Now, you had a remarkable connection with Parky, and I didn't know this story until today. Early in your career, he championed you at a really crucial time, didn't he?
I just got the job of presenting the 7:30 report, and inadvertently, because I don't see myself as a black television anything, inadvertently I made history as Australia's first black television presenter. And you might remember back then, it was pretty horrific. It was 1988, and things got so nasty and vicious and let's be honest, racist, that that the ABC actually offered me security, which I turned down because I just couldn't figure out why I would need to be protected from something like my skin color. It wasn't about what I did on the show or anything. It was just because I was black. And then Michael Parkinson wrote this amazing column in a British newspaper calling out the racists and championing me and just being amazingly just fantastic. And it really did make a difference. For one thing, I was feeling, elated from a professional point of view, but really upset because, as you know, I have an Australian passport, I'm an Aussie, and I've got a British passport as well, but I saw myself as an Aussie, and suddenly I was kind of being othered. And so he he wrote a beautiful piece in the newspaper, and it made headlines all around the world, and it kind of quietened down a lot of the more rabid voices and allowed some of the more sane voices to be heard.
Trisha, what did it mean to have someone in such of his esteem in your corner on the other side of the world?
I just couldn't believe it. I just couldn't believe that he would notice that. But here's the thing. He loved Australia as much as I love Australia. And you only criticize a country, you only care about a country if you love it. And he loved Australia, and he could see the newspaper headlines around the world with, it was Australia's bicentennial year. And as many people pointed out, yes, it should have been a person of First Nation background who was, fronting a show. But since, I asked, well, where are, Aboriginal people when it comes to trainees and what have you? And I did not do this job. I love news and current affairs. I'm still in it 37 years later. And so to have someone like Sir Michael Parkinson, who'd just done the most amazing interviews, I mean, I knew him more from his Australian side, from, Dame Edna Everage, from that amazing interview he did with Sir Joe Bjelke-Peterson and what have you. So to have him champion me, I was like, oh my God, am I even worth it? I actually saw him in a restaurant in the Ivy in London many, many years later. And I went up to him like, I am not worthy. And I just said, look, I am so grateful. You will never know how powerful, how supportive that column actually was. And he kind of just said, oh, look, here you are. Here you still are all these years later. I could see something in you. And, and he was always for the underdog. And again, that was a cherry on the icing of the cake.
And movements are started by people who take that first step and are the first and become allies and champions such as yourself and Parky. So I guess that we'll forever have that connection.
Always have that connection. He came at a really crucial part of my career. And I'm sure you know, Narelle, that nobody pursues something because they'll be the first or anything. You pursue a career because of your passion, because you care about the country in which you're working, you care about the issues around it. So it really knocked me back when I got that that full force of racism. So for him as an ally to come out of somewhere and say, you know what, this just isn't right, and call out that behaviour, it was so powerful.
Well, that it really is amazing. It's great to hear what a genuine nice person he was as well. And for you, certainly, you were most definitely worth it as well. When was the last time that you spoke to him or you saw him even?
Well, the last time I saw him was that time in the Ivy when I went up. I mean, he was just this icon, and I was like, how come he even sees me? That he got involved, that he felt compelled to write that column in very strong language. Well, I was completely blown away. But, he did watch my career, I know now. His style of interviewing, his background as well, that he left school with just 2 O-levels, which is, and that he was an apprentice and he was skilled in life, let's say. He was a parent, his dad was a miner. He worked his way up. And so when he asked questions, when he interacted with people, he didn't need a list of questions. He just did it organically from the University of Life, from knowing people. And I'm not worthy of anything like he does, but I was very flattered that he compared how I interview people to the way he interviewed people. And that is just the most amazing buzz for me.
Trisha, I'm loving this special connection you have with him today, and I'm loving hearing a story that I didn't know until this time about him. We're remembering so many great things about Michael Parkinson today, and this is a really precious part of those memories because it talks about Australia, it talks about his love for Australia, and it's such a special memory for you.
Yeah, absolutely, Ange. And let me just say, while we're here, not to what in your pocket, but you are one of those people. I mean, for people who don't know, who are watching, Ange and I go back years, and I've watched Angela's career blossom. And I'm an old broad, she isn't. But Ange, I am so proud of you. And I think that's the thing that Michael Parkinson understands. You pay it forward. You pay it forward. If you can open a door, if you can support somebody else who is starting, who's on the first rungs, who's doing it tough, that is what life's about. And, we need a hell of a lot more Parkies. We need a hell of a lot more Angela Bishops in the world.
And more Trisha Goddard is what I say. You are the best. Thank you for those very kind words, Trisha. As always, it is so lovely to catch up with you. Thank you for sharing that very special story with us today.
Thank you.
What a beautiful chat. I loved that so much.
Yeah, I'd never heard that story and I was just gobsmacked by it. I just thought, these are all the things we learn about. A guy that we saw on the telly, but this is all the stuff he was doing behind the scenes too, which was just amazing.